Hello, today we are going to see how to draw these basic graphics shapes like rectangle, circle and lines, because those are when we are creating graphics, those are the basic components, and the other components are usually yield for those basic components. Here are some, before you going forward, go through that video, and also there's the video and tutorial information about how to do the animation. Here is the simple example how to use the canvas and draw lines there. So before going forward, go through these links and then continue. So next we are going to draw some basic shapes like circle, rectangle, and then we are moving those shapes and doing some effect like this animation for those shapes. And you have already earlier used this rectangle, so you're supposed to know a little bit how to use that. And drawn circle, that could be done few ways, and I'll explain that later. What are those ways? And then we'll go through that how to draw the line. And drawing a rectangle is quite straightforward. You could give this XY coordinates, or the other possibility that is some examples are using that the position of the rectangle is tied for the parent object. So that could be the window or whatever is the parent object. But in here in next exercises we are using this absolute coordinates. But if you create a final application, might be better that you will tie the start position for those shapes to some parent components. But that depends upon your application. Then of course we need this ID for that ID name that we could referring, and then in simplest way we have to define the width and height, and we could define the color. So for example, with these property values we can get this kind of blue rectangle. And surprise, if you would like to draw a circle, we could use the same rectangle component, but the trick is that there's radius property in the rectangle. So if we give the radius property value, if we give the radius the value which is half of the width, so then it creates then the surrounding this radius for the corners will be exactly in that length that it will create this circle there. And of course then this width and height, they have to be in the same value. So this is the way how you can create the circle from the rectangle. And if you would like to create more complicated figures or shapes, then we could use this canvas. So we could use the canvas that we are drawing, that we are drawing those shapes on that canvas. So, and that is the manual page for the canvas. So and with the canvas item we can draw different kind of shapes, lines, and more complex shapes, graphs, and so on. So if we would like to create a little bit more than the basic shapes, so then we could use the canvas and in next exercises we are going to use these two-dimensional objects, but it's also possible that if you would like to create, you could also try to create this three-dimensional object. But in the next exercises we are using these into two-dimensional layers. And in here, in this example, we are using the canvas component object here, and again the ID. Then we define the white and height for that, and then we start this on paint. So this is the way how we are working if you would like to draw on something on canvas. So during these brackets we can define different kind of parts and different kind of components, and like here we created variable CTX, and that means that we are going to draw with that object or that variable to canvas. And in here in this example we are filling a rectangle shape, and fill style is so this means that we are filling that, and here are the definition that what kind of coloring we are going to use, and then when we call this fill rectangle method, we define the starting position and the end position for that, and this will also create the rectangle, but with this on paint we could also create more complicated figures. We can see that later. In this example, again we are using this canvas, and we are using the on paint there. So what we are doing here, we are drawing the rectangle with the white color, and then we are drawing some lines here. So here we are defining the color, fill style color, and then this is that we are drawing that rectangle there. We are filling that rectangle with the white color, and here is the choice for that. Then we'll start drawing the line. First we define the line white color for that, and this is now, if you would like to create more complicated shapes or parts or drawing lines, then we start the part, then we define here where we move these points, where we draw the lines. So first we have to move the cursor somewhere, starting point, and then we draw the lines, and then with the stroke we are ending the drawing. So with this path we can create unnumbered way of this different kind of path, and also it's way that we could also fill this when we create the continuous path, that will end for the starting point. We could also do the coloring for that side, so that with that way we can create more we could create random images and do the coloring for that. Okay, and if you click this link, let's see that what kind of other ways there's also that how we could use that on paint to draw this, like this basic circle in other way instead of that using this rectangle. So we could use this arc method where we define these coordinates and then the radius, and then we define the angle, that because this arc will create these certain segments, but we could use that also if we draw this full 360 degrees segment, then that means that it's going to be the circle. So if we give this xy coordinates, radius, start angle, and end angle. If this is 0, this is 30 degrees, and this is in radians. So we have to use this. We are not using this not degrees, but we are using the radius. So radians to give this angle value. So I guess that you can remember that from mathematics. So if the start angle is 0 and end angle is 2p, so then that makes the whole circle. And if it's less than 2p, then it will be less. For example, the 1p means the half circle, and so on. And by varying this value, we can also create different kind of variation of the circle. And here is the list of the methods that we could use. So there are this early example arc, and then we could use the fill, and then we could use the rotate, scale, set transform, so stroke. So there are quite many options, quite many possibilities that we could create this different kind of transition for the shapes. And then when we are handling an object, we could rotate those objects. We could do the scaling if you would like. This is the circle, and if you would like to transform to scale the circle, so we could then create this ellipse and different kind of other forms of the varied circle. And the scaling could be done in many ways. So we could, if you have this traditional basic rectangle, so we could create that by this scaling. We could create many different kind of variations of that, like you can see here. Okay, if we come back for this basic example, so we are drawing now using the canvas to draw this circle. So again, we define the variable or object for that. If we would like to make the colored rounding line, we could define the line weight and the color for that, and then we can start the path and define the filling color. And in here now we are calling this arc method, so we'll give the position for that. So this was XY position, this was the radius, and here is the starting angle and the end angle. And as you can see here, it's now radians. So this is pi is 2, so this means the 6 point something. And then we will fill that our shape and then finalize that with a stroke. So this will create for us this kind of circle with red rounding line for that. And all the other methods that was explained, that was shown in the early links, so you could study more to that Qt manual what other options you could do with this canvas. If you would like, generally saying that if you would like to create more complicated shapes, so then you should use this canvas. Okay, so if we come back for this basic shapes, like the rectangle and how to move those shapes. So the moving for those shapes is that easy, because if you remember, there was that property x, which means the position of that object, and if we type some variable for that, and we are changing the variable value, then the position of the shape is moving. Like here, there has been defined that this x is dependent on this variable xpos here, and in here with this button we can change the variable value, and then it will move then our object. So now this is that rectangle that I would like to move. So if I press this button here, it will move to left as I'm decreasing the variable value. So when I press this button here, it will decrease the value, xpos value here, and the xpos value was tied here for that object position. And one property, there's also the rotation. So if you would like to rotate some shapes, we could change the rotation value of our object. And same way as earlier, we will have one button that will change the value. So you can see this rectangle here is rotating when I press the button. And when we would like to do more fancy rotation, then we could use this rotation type, so we can define an origin positions and angles, and then we could use these different kind of planes, so we could do the rotation also among all those axes, x, y, u, and z axis. So that's also possible. So we could also include the z axis to do the rotation, and then we need to use this transform method that we are using for that. So rotation QML type will explain this more advanced way to do the rotation. And then it's also possible to do the so-called animation. So we can create this automatic animation for with the different kind of ways to do. And one animation method is that number animation. So the number animation is one type, and here is that Qt manual for that. So what does that mean is that we could first define shape, like here is the rectangle, and then we could define some property that we are going to change. So this means, for example, that we are going to change the x from to 50, and this duration means that what is the animation time for that. And then there's property, other possibilities. So you could define the starting value for that, and the end value for that. And here is, in this example, we will have this rectangle, colors, and so on. And here's the number animation for that. So this infinite means that it will continue forever. So it's not stopping there. And the duration means that what is that one loop time. So this means that 2 seconds. The whole animation here will last 2 seconds. And property means that which property value which we are going to animate. So in here I define the rotation. So it means that the shape will turn around, and this is the angle, start angle and end angle for that. and let's see how this is working. So here is this rotation now, how it's looks like on the final application. So I'm rotating this rectangle here, and one round will last 2 seconds, and property that I'm changing is the rotation, and this is starting value and final value for that. And then we can do color animation. And again, if we read the manual from here, it's the color animation. And here is example of that. So we first define that color is red, and then we start the color animation. So we change the color to yellow within 1 second. So with this color animation, we can change the we can animate and change the colors of the shapes automatically. And here is example how, for example, this animation will work. First, we start here from the, I think this is the quite close for the red color, and this will be 10 less for that. Then it will be, there will be less red, and green and blue will be in the same amount, and that variation, that animation will last 5 seconds. So this is that from the red to dark brown or whatever is that. And then the other animation will continue from then. This is again red, because this green and blue are 0, and this will go the green side. So there's less red and blue, and that the end color is that green. It's for example, the end is here. When you see that this is green, so this is now almost end of that. So we could also add this animation. We could do the different kind of animation to put together. So here I will have 2 lines, but you could add as many lines as you would like to do that. So you can change the colors during the animation. And here's one animation that automatically change the height of the shape. So that's the numeric animation. So we are changing that height of the object, and in here this animation will be act after mouse press. So if I press the mouse, the animation start to go there. So we could also start these animations by clicking the mouse or whatever input device we will have. So we could initiate that with the buttons and mouse and so on. So the animations could happen automatically, but initiation automation could happen continuously with the endless loop, or we could initiate those with this these input devices. So now it's time for the first exercise. So create this rectangle, circle, use and create the circle at least with 2 ways. Use the rectangle to create the circle, and then with the canvas by path, and then try drawing line, and then move object, rotate object, and do some animation. Like here I'm animating the colors, here I'm animating the height of the object, here I'm animating the rotation of the object, and here where this manual ways to move the object, and that was that initiate the animation by mouse click. So do these exercises, and when you have done these exercises, then you could go forward. But stop here, do these exercises before you are going forward. Okay, when you have done those basic exercises, now create some kind of real application. So now we are creating the traffic lights, and with the traffic lights we will of course use this, or you could use this way to create these circles, and then we have put some color for the circle, because these are expecting to demonstrate the traffic lights. So it means that if there's the green light, the cars from here could go, and of course the cars from here can't go. And of course there are equal traffic lights from here and here, but I didn't put those to this exercise. So there will be normal mode and night mode. So what is the night mode for the traffic light? Is that then this yellow color is blinking there. So it means that, I think if you have been following the traffic lights in the real life, you know that these traffic lights are so-called night mode, so they are blinking. So then the cars and whoever are using this junction, they will go through with normal traffic rules without colors. But in the daytime, the colors will be control the going. And remember that if you follow the traffic lights, there has to be certain idle time before the colors are changing, so on. So you could check that, you could follow that from the real traffic lights, how they are working, if you can't remember that precisely. So here's one example how the traffic lights could work. So and of course this is now accelerated speed, because the normal traffic lights can work so quickly. But this is only demonstrate the idea for that. And if you put that to night mode, so in the night mode, the yellow is blinking there. This will tell this will take the drivers that traffic lights are off state. And in the normal mode, they will give you the way to pass the junction. Okay, but this will be your exercise, second exercise. So try to get this also working. And you will demonstrate the traffic lights in next face-to-face teaching session within 1 week or 2 weeks forward from this.